Well, I'm Bar Litzinger, and I am basically a chicken fried steak connoisseur. In fact, people call me all the time asking me, where's a good chicken fried steak? Where should I go for a chicken fried steak? They will send me pictures of the places they've eaten. Is this a good chicken fried steak? I actually have a 10-point scale for a chicken fried steak. Has to do with texture, has to do with whether the crust comes off, the gravy, the look, the tenderness of the meat, whole bunch of different factors. And people ask me, who makes the best chicken fried steak? Well, I'm from Texas. I make the best chicken fried steak. Make the best brisket too, but that's another film for another day. So today I'm going to teach you how to make the most awesome chicken fried steak you've ever made in your life. And we start off with the basic ingredients here. We've just got flour, salt, pepper, the main flour. Now here's the thing. My family is gluten intolerant, so I actually make this with cassava flour. All free, gluten-free cassava flour. You can use regular flour, any type of flour, it doesn't matter. So here's what we're going to do. Step one, first of all, we got to make the dredge for the chicken fried steak. So like I said, I'm starting off with cassava flour. Like I said, my family's gluten intolerant, so I use this. Has a great consistency, great taste. You really cannot tell the difference. So many times people with gluten-free stuff say, oh, I can tell the difference. I can tell the difference. Trust me. Cassava flour, you are not going to tell the difference. Ooh, a little smoky there. All right. Then here's the other thing. Some people say, do you season the flour? A lot of people say no. I say yes. Season your flour. And I just use some very simple things. One is this thing it's called Morton's Nature Seasoning. Now, how much do I use? I just dump it in. You just kind of go by feel. A little bit of that in there. And then we're going to take a little bit of garlic salt. Just a sprinkle. A little bit of pepper that I forgot to pull out. Let me grab the pepper here. Again, just a sprinkle or two of pepper. And then here is the secret ingredient. The thing that gives it that nice, deep, rich, brown color, paprika. Most people don't even know what paprika is. What is paprika? Paprika is actually dried red bell peppers. That's what that is. So just a little bit of that in there. We're going to mix that in. So they got that all mixed up there. Nice and easy. Now, next thing we need to do is we need to make the liquid part of it, of the dredge. And for that we need eggs that are right here. And since I'm just going to do a small bit here, which is one egg. If you're making a lot of them, like 5 or 6, you might want to use 2 eggs for that. And then milk, regular old milk. Now this is just 2% milk. You can use 1%. You can use, I wouldn't recommend using skim. I wouldn't recommend using anything below 1%, but that's 2% for that. We're going to change that up for the gravy in a minute, and I'll explain why. So now we get that all mixed up there. Now, while we're doing that, I'm going to get our pan and stuff ready here. Just regular old canola oil. Just cover the bottom of that. And we're going to turn this thing on to about 375. That usually works pretty good. So let that get going. And now our meat. Like I said, you can use a lot of different things for chicken fried steak. Chicken fried steak was originally what they would use with bad cuts of meat. So you take a big chunk of sirloin or a tip or something really tough, and you take it and you beat it and you pulverize it and you hammer it out, and then you bread it and you chicken fry it, you deep fry it, and that would get tender. Now, you can do that if you've got a tough piece of meat, but the easiest thing to do is just go find you some beef cube steak. All you need is just regular old beef cube steak, pre-tenderized. We're going to take one of these little fillets. Now, here's the thing. There's different philosophies of how you do this. This is the way I always do it. Give it a good soak in this. Okay. That out. Then we put in the flour. And we get it all over ourselves, which is how you do it. If you're not making a mess, you're not really cooking. Now, here is the trick. The trick to getting your breading to stay on the chicken fried steak. This is where so many people mess up. Is you don't just do it like this. You take your fingers and you work it. You work the flour into the meat. You knead it. You press it into it. I learned this trick. I worked at a restaurant Victoria, Texas, called the Downtown Bar and Grill. And there was the cook with a very large black lady named Sunshine. And we called her Sunshine because her skin was ebony, deep ebony, but her teeth were so white. And she joked, if it's ever in the dark, if the lights ever go out, I'll just smile and we can see our way out. Because her smile lit up the room. We called her Sunshine. She was amazing. She taught me this trick. So you knead it in real good. Now, that also helps spread it out a little bit. Now we shake that off. Now, we go in for a second dip. Get it? Everything nice and covered again, soaked. Pull out, be careful, because the meat's going to start falling apart on you, which is what you want to make it fork tender. Now we put it back in. Get it back in, get it covered. And now, you shake it around. And now, here we go with the kneading process again. And what we're doing is we are taking and we are pushing the flour into the fibers of the meat, in between those things where it was tenderized, okay? And what happens is, so we knead that down real good. Okay, we're pushing it into the fibers of the meat. And what this does is, when you put it in that hot oil, okay, all of a sudden, what does that flour do? If you ever watch flour, it kind of blows up. So what that does is it gets into the fibers of the meat, it hits that hot oil, it blows up and expands, doing two things. One, it tenderizes the meat. But the second thing it does is it sticks because it gets lodged in the fibers of the meat. I hate a chicken fried steak that when you cut it, like I've been to restaurants and I cut the chicken fried steak and I cut it and the meat goes one way and all the crust and breading go another way. And I got a pile of meat over here and a pile of crust over there. That will get you I don't care, I'll get everything else taste. If your crust comes off like that, most you're going to get on my 10-point scale is a 6. That's it. Because the crust and the meat should stay together. Now I've got two. Look how that's spreading out nicely. Let me hit it again. Now, I want to be really bold and really brave. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hit it a third time. This is crazy. No, it's not. Now, this is when you got to be careful because it will start falling apart on you. All right, going to take that real easy. Back in the mixture. Okay. Getting a little doughy. That's good. There we go. This is not a clean meal to make. This is a messy meal to make. This is the meal that my wife is going to be like, what did you do to my kitchen? All right. One more time there. Like I said, knead that into the meat, spread that meat out. You can take a cutlet like that, and it can blow up to like that by the time you're done with it. Now I'm gonna test the oil there. Ooh, doesn't look too bad. Not looking too bad. You want to make sure that's good and hot. You don't want it to sit. All right. Now let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and let's drop this sucker in. There we go. Good silver stuff going. Now while that's going, while that's cooking, we're going to let it go, well, until it's brown on one side, and then you're going to flip it. How are you going to know it's brown on one side? Usually give it about 5 minutes, and then you flip it. If you'll notice, man, I'm from Texas. I'm a home cook. I ain't giving you all these measurements and stuff. This is just kind of done by feel. Just, I throw a little bit here, a little bit there. Same thing. I'll watch this, and I'll monitor it, and when it looks good, I'll flip it and go. So that's what we're going to do. Now, while that is cooking on that one side, now let's get the base ready for our gravy, because you cannot have a chicken fried steak without a good, rich gravy. Again, two philosophies. Some people use onions, chop onions up in it. They use chicken stock for it, and it kind of gives you a yellow, oniony gravy. So if you see a gravy that's kind of got a yellow tint to it, it's probably made with chicken stock and onions. I don't do that. I do a basic cream gravy. And there's a simple that people say, the one thing when they eat my chicken fried steak is like, Bart, your gravy doesn't have any lumps. Why does your gravy doesn't have any lumps? I'm going to show you the two tricks to having perfect gravy. Maybe you have your own way of doing chicken fried steak, but you have a problem doing the gravy. This is trick number one. It's Gold Wondra flour. This thing is a quick mixing, all-purpose. I'm not getting an endorsement or anything from these people. If you're going to make gravy, this is the stuff you make gravy with, is this right here. Wondra Gold quick mixing, all-purpose flour. It's like sifted really, really fine. And so what you're going to do is you're going to take this, get you a cup. Coffee mug works best. And you're going to just fill a coffee cup probably about half full, right? Now you can get this at most stores. See how much of this I can get on me. You can get this at most stores. Where I'm at, a lot of our stores don't carry anymore. You can find it online at Amazon. You sometimes have to buy it in things of 3 or 6 of these. If you do that, it keeps forever, and it's then you'll never run out. Next thing you got to do is you want to season this up. It's the same thing. We're going to take some of our good nature seasoning, and we're going to dump a good bit of that in the cup. We're going to take our good kosher salt, and we're going to just give it good shake in the cup there. Take a little pepper over there. A little pepper. And again, with the paprika, you want to give it that gravy. It's going to be a cream gravy. You have a rich color to it. A little bit of paprika will help add that rich color to it. Okay. Now let's look at our chicken fried steak. See how this is going. Okay. Look at the bone. Not too bad. I'm gonna let go just a little bit longer there. A little bit longer. Now, next thing we do is while that's finishing up, now you got to mix this up. So you're gonna have to water this down a little bit. Okay. And you just mix it up. And you want to mix it till it looks fairly smooth, but it's almost a paste. It's almost like when you were a kid and you were making paste or something, I can't remember, some type of glue or something you used to make with flour and stuff when you were in first grade or kindergarten or something like that. And so what you do is you mix it good. But that's it. You think that's kind of mushy. It's going to be, yep, it is. But that's what you want right there. You want it paste. Make sure you get all of it off the bottom. Get it mixed in. And then you can just set this aside until your chicken fried steak is ready. Set that right over here. All right. So now let's flip this. Oh yeah, look at that. That's nice. It's golden brown. A few little spots there, oil spot. That's no big deal. All right, so we're going to go the bottom there and let that go for just a little bit. Now, normally what you do is this, I'm just going to make one for tonight. Normally what you do is you're going to make your second one while that one's cooking. You prep the second one and you go and you just keep circulating them out. When it's done, what you want to do is you want to so after your steak's cooked and you're about ready to pull it out, you definitely don't want to set it on a plate by itself. You want to let it, so it's not sitting in its own grease. So get you a plate, get you a good wire rack, set on top of it like that. And then when your steak is done, you pull and check the bottom. Oh yeah, looks good. Good. And you just set it on there and let any excess grease or whatever will drip out. You don't want to let it sit in the grease because sitting in the grease, it will get soggy. And the last thing you want is a soggy chicken fried steak. Because that's good, that's hot, that's crunchy. Okay. Now normally what we do is we make more, you make more, and then you get your grease. It's got a lot of dredging, a lot of drippings, a lot of crumbs and all that type of stuff in it. And that's the stuff you want because that really helps make your gravy really good. But you don't want too much grease in there. So the next thing you got to do, especially on this, one of the best ways to cook a chicken fried steak is in an electric skillet like this. Now you can use other type of pans or whatever. I prefer the electric skillet mainly because it makes making the gravy easy. So we're going to do a little trick here. You don't want to dump this directly down your sink because it can stop up your pipes. So what we're going to do is you got to be very, very careful with this. We're going to unplug this, okay? And we're going to take, I know it's hot, but we're going to take and we're going to pour a majority of this You got to have a good Pyrex or something to hold the heat. You can't do this in plastic or regular glass or whatever. So you want to leave about that much oil in it. Now, normally after you make 6, 7, 8 steaks, that's going to be a lot darker. There's going to be a lot more crumbs and stuff in it. And you want that. You want that little bit and that little bit of grease in the bottom of the pan. Move this over a little bit. We're going to plug this back in. Okay. Now you got to be pretty quick because you don't want the grease to start burning on you here. Just got to leave it temperature right where it was. Now here's where the trick comes in, y'all. Here's where the trick comes in. 2% will work. It works okay, but what you really want is you want whole milk. Whole milk's thicker. It's got a lot more fat to it. It makes a much richer gravy. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take and we're just going to, it's going to sit a little bit on you. That's okay. And we're just going to fill the pan up there. And you want to fill it with about however much. I use about half a gallon. If I'm making a bunch of chicken fried steak, I might jump 3/4 of a gallon in this, depending on how much gravy you think you're going to need. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to get the magic trick. I told you the first trick for getting great flour, the flour you need to make a great gravy, this wondrous stuff, but there's another trick to it, okay? Come right here. Now, I'm going to show you. They're the tool that's invaluable for making great gravy, okay? Now, it's not this. It is not the normal whisk. It is this. Slotted spatula. This slotted spatula right here is going to be your trick to making great gravy. You can use this. You can use the scooper out of a Fry Daddy, anything that's got an edge and got some holes in it. And here I'm going to show you how it's going to work. So we're going to take our paste mixture and go, oh my gosh. And we're going to just put this right into the gravy like this, right into this milk, okay? And you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the lumpiest mess I've ever seen. No, it's not. So get most of that in there. And now, basically, you're going to go what I call mow the lawn, okay? You're going to take, and now you're going to start working this in. And you're going to start going back and forth, get it kind of mixed in here. And you're like, oh, there's some big chunks. That's okay. They will dissipate here in a little bit. But then it comes into making your rounds, going back and forth, up and down, left and right, up and down. And this is going to be the most laborious process of this whole thing, because you got to continue to do this until your gravy thickens up. That's going to be the key. You got to continue to do this back and forth, round and round, covering every area, every inch of this. And like I said, this takes some time. Now, it's very difficult. This is why I recommend using a electric skillet to make your gravy, because it makes this technique easy. If you're using a round pan, it's a lot more difficult to get it to be smooth. But it's back and forth. Now, this is the one step you cannot walk away from. You can't just go, okay, I think it looks okay. I'm going to walk away from it now. I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to clean up. Nope. You do that, then you may it may lump up on you. So you can see the waves aren't quite as bouncing like they used to, because it's getting thicker. And once you get about to this point, you can just kind of make this little figure 8 motion with it, and that'll help it coalesce. About 5 minutes now, and as you can see there's hardly any waves anymore. You can see how everything's thickened up, gelling nicely. And depending on how deep your pan is, most of the time you can tell it's done when you take your thing and go across it like this, and it's like you almost can cut a trail in it. It's almost like you're creating a little canyon. Also, when you're stirring, you can see it starting to bubble up in other places, which means it's really getting good and thick. So there we go. Yeah, see, now it's hardly any wave other than a little bit. There you go. And now you got a good gravy. So at this point, you can turn it down to, you can turn it off. It'll keep cooking for a little bit. There we go. And now you got a good cream white gravy. And there you go. There's the key. You got your steak, your gravy. Let me grab a plate. Let's get my spoon out. Get a little. Put a little bit of this. There you go. And this is great when you have your typical sides, the mashed potatoes. I love when you have the little chunks of the bits of you cook in it, and that's part of it. You leave all those chunks of when you cook the piece of the flour and the batter and the chunks of meat that come off of it. And you get those left over in your gravy. There we go. I like a lot of gravy. I joked it's like I like gravy. I like chicken fried steak with my gravy. So there you go. Great. We got perfect. Now watch this. Good hard crust. And here's the key. When you cut it, watch this. See, when you cut it, see the crust stays on the steak. The crust is embedded into the steak, so it stays on the steak. It does not flake off. Piece like that. It's good. It's almost, I'll try a piece. Let me see. See? Oh my God. That's so good. Sometimes I gotta add a little more salt to everything, but it's not really heavy. Crust has a crunch to it. The gravy has that nice country taste. But see, look at this. It is technically fork tender, but the crust stays on, so you get a good bite there of gravy. A little salt. Oh, one of my favorite meals of all time right here. On purpose, I make you some mashed potatoes, dump the gravy on them. You got a little macaroni. Yeah, just carb up. It's awesome. And that, my friends, is how you make the perfect Texas chicken fried steak.